In this practice, we'll explore how the basic elements of a work of art evoke an aesthetic sense of beauty along with other thoughts and emotions in the viewer. This practice will follow a pattern of working from the general to the specific, and I recommend choosing a painting that's hung on a wall to get the full effect that's intended by the artist. To start, we'll find a nice stable position with the hips above the feet, knees soft, hips in a neutral tilt, allowing the natural curves of the spine to arise from that. Laying tension out of the arms and tucking the chin a little to make sure the neck is in alignment. Laying tension out of the face. And finally, finding a place for the hands to sit comfortably with either the thumbs pressing against the sternum or lower down, just tucked a little under the tummy. From here, we'll let the gaze become soft, opening to what you see in your peripheral vision, to both sides, up and down. And we'll connect to this present moment through any sights, sounds, smells, tastes, or feelings you're sensing right now. Make note of any body sensations you're feeling. Become aware of the whole body standing here. Then, allow your attention to go over different parts in turn. You can start from the feet and work your way up to the head, releasing any remaining tension you find along the way. Zoom in now on your breath sensations, how it feels in the body on each inhale and exhale, how it changes any sensations felt in the body through its movement, bringing in smells, creating soft sounds. There's no need to change the breath. Just become aware of how it is in this moment. Now, zoom in even closer to the sensations of the breath at the nose or mouth. Try to find the point of maximum sensation. You can also feel the breath a little bit differently through your hand position, remaining aware of the different breath sensations as you turn your attention to the focal point. Finally, we can turn our attention to the piece of artwork we'll be studying. You can try out different hand positions. Clasping them behind your back can actually help support the spine and neck if you're looking up. Before we get into our painting yoga, I'll mention that if you're in a public area, you can help manage your space by finding a comfortable distance from your piece and always keeping at least 1 foot in that spot. You can also make any of these movements as big or small as you feel comfortable doing in a public space. So, try stepping out to one side and then the other. Looking all the way up at the ceiling and all the way down to the floor. Doing some gentle twists from side to take in the entire room. And making a giant circle with your gaze in a clockwise direction and then counterclockwise. Now that we've taken in the room, you can try making a square shape around the piece with your gaze, going one way. In this case, I'm going clockwise again, but in a straighter fashion. And if you're viewing multiple pieces, like I am here, that are part of a set, you can try making some smaller squares around each individual frame. And then you can check to make sure you have enough room to do a very small bend down here, only as far as is comfortable, and go up a little bit onto the tippy toes, as far as is comfortable. From here, we can also try making some smaller circles with just the eyes in a clockwise fashion and reverse. And then to each corner, up and across in a sort of X shape, or like a very simple hourglass going one way and then the other. You can repeat these eye motions or any of these movements in smaller ways with just the eyes or the head. Finally, we can try taking some steps towards and away from the painting. If in a crowded space, remember to manage that space by keeping 1 foot back in your comfortable spot so that someone doesn't immediately come to take that space. You can also use your arm positions to help manage space. If you interlace the fingers and press the thumbs against the sternum, this helps let tension out of the arms while creating this angle with the elbows that people will want to avoid. You can reset now into a nice posture, and to end off our yoga, just take some nice deep breaths, allowing the spine to bend a little bit back and up on the inhale and fold a little bit forward and down on the exhale. You can gradually make this smaller and smaller if you want. Or, again, if you're in a spot where doing big movements would cause you anxiety, try just doing this as small as is comfortable for you. Now we can turn our attention to the art forms and aesthetics of the piece we're studying. We're going to work from the general to the specific again, with different elements of art and aesthetics. So first, make note of the overall piece, even including the wall it's on, how it sits on this. Look at how the piece is framed. Look at the overall composition, how it leads the eye around the piece. Does it naturally try to keep you towards the center, or does it lead you out of the frame anywhere? Look at the colors used. Are they cohesive and matched well? Or is there any discordance? Any colors that clash? Look at the overall forms and shapes used. Bring your attention to the largest forms, and then zoom in smaller and smaller. You can move closer, again, practicing a little painting yoga to do this, if you like. Now look at the lines used. Again, start with the boldest and biggest before you zoom in to the finer and finer lines. Remember that placing the hands behind the back can help support your neck if you're looking up. And you can always give yourself a little stretch to reset, remaining mindful of the posture and our breathing while we study this art piece. Now we can turn our attention to the thoughts and emotions that are evoked by this piece. Turn your attention inwards, but again, work from the general to the specific, paying attention to your own internal reaction to the overall piece. How it's framed. The composition, where it leads the eye. The colors used, cohesive or clashing. The forms and shapes, big to small. The lines used, bold to fine. If you need an eye break at any time, you can simply close your eyes, or even do a slow little turnaround in place, looking at the ground or the room, just to change what it is you're focusing on. Making sure to mind the space that you're doing this in. Little resets like this not only help to adjust the posture and make sure that you're breathing properly, but will also bring fresh eyes to the piece. You may notice different thoughts and emotions arising as you take in the overall piece, how it's framed, its composition, colors, forms, and lines, with some newly rested eyes. If you feel comfortable and safe doing this, especially if you're in a public space, you can even close your eyes and cup the hands over them. Or give your face some gentle massage with some light rubbing motions, especially around the eyes and temples. Like that. You can do a little turnaround too. You can even try imagining the piece in your mind as you do this, and then open back up to it and see how close you were. The people who create artwork use line, form, color, and composition to create a sense of aesthetics, either beautiful or interesting. This sense, or the subjects framed, can evoke different thoughts or emotions in the viewer. If you're working on a piece and looking to evoke a similar sense in your work as the piece you are viewing right now, you can take a moment here to reflect on what you'd like to carry from this practice back to your easel. Ask yourself, what about this might I want to emulate? How would this look differently in my creation, in my style, and using my medium? Standing in front of one of your own created works, as I'm doing here now, can also help you make sense of where you might want to take something in a different direction, or bring out some of the forms and lines and colors that you already have even stronger, polishing what you've got to make it shine even brighter. As with previous practices, I do recommend a length of about 30 to 45 minutes for your first time. This will really help to cultivate awareness of the painting without mind wandering becoming an issue. If you do wander, you can always bring your attention back to the breath to reset. You can repeat this practice for longer and/or with multiple pieces once you've got the hang of it. To end the practice, simply take in what you've experienced in this session, letting yourself feel anything you've learned or discovered. Let this be a felt sense, as in how it feels in your body and your mind, for a few moments before you start talking it out with yourself. Then, you can make note of any points you'd like to explore further, or perhaps in another practice. You can also try imagining the painting in your mind, and then turning around to see how many details you had captured and internalized. To end off, we can check back in with our posture and take a few breaths to reset. Do a little bit of yoga again. Taking in the whole piece one last time. Taking a few more of these breaths with a bit of back extension, flexion can also help reset the posture before we end here. We can make note of any final little details that we want to internalize, that is, take with us before we go. And finally, we can spend a moment in gratitude for the artist who created and shared this work. Thank you for paying attention.
Remember that the only bad practice is the one you didn't do. So take a moment to feel some gratitude for the chance to practice today and for the efforts you put into it. Until next time.